Come sit with me, my dear, and lend an ear for a spell. I want to share a thought, one that has nestled in my heart through all these years. You know, sometimes we're surrounded by people. We sit in a room filled with chatter and laughter, yet still feel a certain quiet that no one else seems to notice. That quiet isn't emptiness, mind you. It's a space, a soft, hidden corner within us where only our truest thoughts reside. And kid, that is where the journey begins. You see, there are days when the noise around you grows loud and the smiles of strangers blur into the backdrop of life. You might think, how can I be alone if I'm amidst so many souls? But loneliness, dear one, isn't about the number of folks around you. It's about the silent dialogues within, the private musings that no one else hears. And sometimes those thoughts shine brighter than the crowd's murmur. I remember when I was a young man, full of verve and dreams. I thought that being surrounded by friends meant having every answer, every bit of support. But there were moments, quiet, serene instants, when I sat in a bustling cafe and felt like an observer in my own life. I watched life unfold as if through a frosted window, every laugh and every tear tracing a story I couldn't fully join. And then I began to wonder, why is it that in the midst of all this noise, I feel the most peaceful when I'm in my own company? You see, kid, sometimes our solitude is our friend. It's in those moments of quiet that we start to understand who we really are. I learned that feeling alone in a crowded room was not a curse, but a gentle invitation. It beckoned me to explore the echoes of my heart, to listen to the truth behind my daily chatter. The feeling of isolation can sometimes clear the clutter of our thoughts, much like a calm, still pond reflects the clear blue of the sky. You might ask, is that even possible? Well, my dear, it is. It's a secret whispered by time itself. Now, I'm not saying you should shun company or turn away from the world. No, not at all. It's about understanding that within the hum of life, there exists a quiet sanctuary where you can meet yourself. Many nights, as I sat under the soft glow of my table lamp, I'd let my thoughts roam free. In those silent hours, the clutter of everyday noise melted away, leaving behind a pure, honest space. In that space, the questions came flooding in. Why do I feel this way? What is it that I truly need? And each question, as it echoed through the stillness, began to shape my understanding of life. There was a time when I thought that loneliness was synonymous with sadness. I would look around, and every unfamiliar face in the crowd seemed like a barrier, a reminder that I was separate from the world around me. But with the wisdom of years, I came to see a different picture. That sense of being alone sometimes offered clarity, a chance to sort through the tangled threads of our thoughts, hopes, and dreams. Think of it this way, kid. When you're in a room full of chatter, each voice can distract you, pulling your attention in 100 directions. But when you're alone, even in a crowd, you find the space to really hear your own song. You see, sometimes life is about standing in the middle of a crowd and realizing that the most important conversation is the one you have with yourself. In those quiet minutes, you can sift through the noise and find what truly matters. And so, my dear, I urge you to embrace those moments. Let the feeling of solitude be a gentle guide. It may come unannounced, that quiet pause amid the laughter, but don't be alarmed. Instead, lean into it and ask yourself, What do I need in this very moment? Who am I beneath all these layers of expectation? Isn't it curious, kid, how something that appears like an empty space can hold so much promise? I often liken it to a vast field under the night sky. At first glance, it seems endless and barren, but then you notice the gentle glow of fireflies, the soft hum of nocturnal life. That field, much like your inner world, is abundant with treasures if only you take the time to explore it. And in that exploration, you might find that solitude is not an enemy at all. It's a trusted companion, a silent teacher of life's subtleties. I remember a day long ago when I was traveling with a group of friends. The laughter was hearty, and the road stretched out before us like a ribbon of promise. Yet, on a quiet night under a canopy of stars, I found myself gazing upward, lost in the wonder of the cosmos. In that moment, I felt utterly isolated, as if the world had paused just for me. And yet, that feeling was not frightening. It was, instead, filled with a profound sense of calm, a reminder that sometimes being alone is the very essence of being free. Freedom to think, to dream, and to simply be. And so it goes, my dear, that the paradox of feeling isolated in the midst of a crowd is not a flaw. It's a natural rhythm of life. It is in these moments that our inner voice becomes the loudest, and our true self has the room to bloom. The crowded rooms of life may dazzle with their bright lights and busy sounds, but they can never replace the serene beauty of your inner world. That inner world, though quiet, holds the key to understanding not just where you're going, but who you are. Take a moment now and remember that every whisper of loneliness is an invitation for reflection. Each time you feel isolated, think of it as a chance to clear the canvas of your mind. The colors of your thoughts, unburdened by the clamor of everyday life, come alive in ways you might never have imagined. Ask yourself, what do these colors mean? What is the picture I want to create in my mind? Through such reflection, every solitary moment transforms into a lesson, a stepping stone toward a deeper understanding of life's true narrative. So, my dear, if you ever find yourself in a crowded room with a feeling of being alone, don't despair. Embrace that feeling as part of your journey. Know that it is perfectly all right to seek the quiet corners of your soul, to listen to the wisdom that comes from within. For in that gentle solitude, you may just discover that the most important company you have is yourself. Now, let me tell you about a time when I realized just how much beauty lies in that solitary quiet. I was sitting at a park bench on a mild autumn day, surrounded by people enjoying the season. The chatter of the passers-by, the rustling of leaves, and the distant strains of a street musician all blended into a soft background hum. Yet there I was, feeling a profound stillness in the midst of all that activity. It wasn't that I was disconnected, it was as if my heart had found its own private rhythm, separate from the bustling world around me. In that moment, I recognized the gift of solitude, the capacity to hear the soft murmur of my own soul amidst the clamor. It's in these moments, kid, that I want you to understand something very important. Even though the world might seem vast and its voices unending, it is in the stillness of your inner heart that you learn what truly matters. Each beat of that quiet rhythm is a reminder that you are enough, that you carry a light that no amount of external noise can dim. And that, my dear, is a lesson every one of us must learn at some point. So, as you go about your days, remember this. When you feel alone, even in a crowded room, listen carefully. In that solitude lies a quiet strength and a gentle reminder that the answers you seek are already within you. Every lonely moment, every quiet reflection is a chance to reconnect with the truest part of yourself. And believe me, kid, that is where the magic of life unfolds. You know, my dear, there's another lesson hidden in those moments of solitude, the lesson of acceptance. There's a whole school of thought, Stoicism, that teaches us to focus on what we can control and to let the rest be. It's a philosophy that resonates deeply when you're feeling alone in a crowded room. Stoics would remind you that while you can't dictate the noise or the chaos around you, you can always choose how to respond from within. They'd say, kid, focus on your inner garden, tend to it well, and let the rest of the world do its own thing. It's a calming reminder that the power to find peace rests right inside you. I often think about the idea that every moment of solitude is like a quiet conversation with the universe. When you're alone in a crowd, there's a chance to observe, without judgment, the ebb and flow of emotions and thoughts. It's like sitting quietly at the water's edge and watching the gentle ripple of waves. The Stoics believed that true happiness comes not from external validation, but from an inner fortitude built over time. And so, my dear, the feeling of isolation can be a signal, an invitation to nurture that inner strength. Now, let's wander together down another path of thought, existentialism. This school of thought often asks, who am I and what is my purpose? In your moments of quiet, when you're surrounded by bustling life yet feel apart from it, existentialism nudges you to confront those big questions. It tells you that it's okay to ponder your role in a seemingly indifferent universe. Many existential thinkers, like Sartre and Camus, wrestled with the idea that we are condemned to be free, that we must create meaning in a world that does not hand it out on a silver platter, and in that creative act, in choosing what matters, there's a deep beauty and a subtle kind of liberation. Think about it, kid. When you're alone, that sense of isolation might actually be a call to embrace your freedom. It's in those quiet, unguarded moments that you get the chance to face the truth of your existence. What do you truly want from life? How do you want to shape your own destiny? In those moments, you can choose to see solitude not as a void, but as a blank canvas upon which you can paint your values, your dreams, and your aspirations. It's a challenge, sure, but also an opportunity to be honest with yourself. There's also a hint of Buddhist wisdom in these quiet times. Buddhism teaches us about the impermanent nature of all things. The feeling of isolation, like every emotion, comes and goes, just as the crowded clamor of life does. It encourages you to be present with your sensations without clinging to them, to let them pass by like clouds in a bright blue sky. In the silence of your inner world, you can learn to observe your thoughts and feelings without being overwhelmed by them. It's a gentle art, my dear, of accepting life exactly as it is, impermanent, ever-changing, and yes, sometimes unexpectedly solitary. Now, kid, you might wonder, how do these ideas tie into what I feel every day? Well, think of it this way. When you're alone in a crowded room, You have a choice. You can either let the noise of the world distract you, or you can use that moment to tune into your own truth. You might notice that as you let go of the need to be constantly engaged with every face, every voice, something shifts inside you. You start to appreciate the beauty of stillness, how it cradles your thoughts and lets them settle like dust in a sunbeam. I remember sitting on the edge of a busy park bench one summer afternoon. The world was moving all around me, children laughing, dogs barking, and vendors calling out their wares. Yet I felt a serene distance, as if I were an observer in my own life. In that gentle isolation, I recalled what the Stoics had taught me about inner peace. I told myself that I could choose to remain undisturbed. I let the external clamor wash over me without absorbing its stress. And in that moment, I found a quiet joy, an understanding that being alone in a crowd was less about feeling lost and more about finding solace in your own company. The same idea echoes in the wisdom of the existentialists. They believed that life's meaning isn't found in the opinions of others, but in the choices we make for ourselves. When you're sitting there, feeling detached amid the laughter and liveliness, you're given a moment to decide, what do I really stand for? What small personal act of rebellion or creation can I begin right here, right now? It isn't always a grand revelation. It might just be a small flicker of understanding that whispers, "This is who you are, and this is what you can be." And isn't it something, my dear, that in recognizing your solitude, you begin to see its potential? It's like discovering that a seemingly barren winter landscape hides the promise of spring. The quiet room, whether it's filled with strangers or the echo of your own thoughts, is a sacred space, a place where you can invite reflection without interruption. It teaches you to cherish moments of introspection, those precious intervals where you learn the true language of your heart. Sometimes I like to compare this to the idea of sang-froid, that calmness in the face of chaos, which many philosophers consider a virtue in itself. It's that quality which allows you to remain centered even when the world seems to spin out of control around you. In those rare, still moments, you discover that the inner voice that guides you is far more reliable than the clamor of the external world. And trust me, kid, that inner voice knows the way. The journey isn't always smooth. There are days when the loneliness feels heavy, like a thick fog that lingers, making it hard to see what lies ahead. But even in that mist, there's a lesson waiting to be uncovered. It reminds you that growth often begins in the quiet spaces between life's loud moments. It's in that space that you learn to appreciate not just the world around you, but also the vast, intricate universe within you. You see, my dear, every philosophical path, whether it's the measured acceptance of Stoicism, the brave inquiry of existentialism, or the mindful flow of Buddhism, gives you a different lens through which to see your solitude. Each teaches that the experience of being alone is not a void, but a dynamic space for growth and understanding. When you listen to these voices, you begin to see that every lonely moment is a stepping stone towards becoming more whole. The next time you find yourself in a crowded room, yet feeling strangely alone, try to remember these lessons. Let the quiet within you be a sign, a gentle prompt from life that it's time to reconnect with who you truly are. In that small, solitary moment, You might find clarity. You might discover that the chaos around you is simply a backdrop to your inner dialogue, a reminder that while the world may be full of voices, your own is the one that truly matters. It might feel odd sometimes, this turning inward when everything around you is loud and bustling. But trust me, kid, that inward gaze is what many of the wisest souls have relied upon. It's where the seeds of true understanding are planted. And as you nurture those seeds, you'll begin to see that the sense of isolation isn't something to be feared, but something to be cherished. For in that stillness, you grow resilient, you grow aware, and you grow in ways that the everyday commotion could never allow. Take heart, my dear, in knowing that even when you're amid a throng, the quiet of your inner world is ever present. And in that quiet, you might find solace in the realization that solitude is not a state of emptiness, but rather a mirror to your soul, a mirror that reflects all the truths you often overlook in your haste. Remember, loneliness is a passage, not a destination. It invites you to peel back the layers of pretense and to discover the beauty of your genuine self. So, hold on to that understanding, kid. Embrace the wisdom of those ancient philosophies and let them guide you. Let each moment of being alone be a quiet celebration of the depth and mystery that is you. Every time you pause amidst the crowd, listen closely, and you'll hear a gentle reminder, an echo of your own spirit, urging you to be kind, be curious, and above all, be true to yourself. You know, my dear, as I sit here reflecting on these moments of quiet introspection, I'm reminded that every step we take in our inner journey is a story unfolding in real time. When you find yourself in that crowded room feeling isolated, you're experiencing a beautiful, intricate dance between the outer clamor and your inner voice. It is in these instances that the ancient wisdom of Zen comes to mind, teaching us that true presence is not about immersing ourselves in endless chatter, but about embracing each breath as it comes. Zen masters say that when you truly attend to the moment, even the most ordinary scene becomes a wellspring of insights. Remember that in this very moment, as you sit amidst a flurry of activity, there is beauty in stepping aside and listening closely to your own inner beat. Each solitary moment, even when surrounded by the busy hum of life, is like a gentle tap on the shoulder urging you to pause and simply be. It's like watching a raindrop cling to a leaf, brief, shimmering, and filled with a quiet promise before it falls away. This is the essence of mindfulness, a practice not of forcing calm, but of noticing the subtle currents of your own existence. Have you ever marveled at how a single moment of stillness can suddenly reveal layers of meaning you never noticed before? Think of those times when the world's noise retreats into the background and you can hear the soft strum of your heartbeat. There's a kind of music there, my dear, a melody that accompanies you wherever you go, even in the midst of chaos. And it's in that melody that you might find all sorts of comforting truths about who you are and who you wish to be. I once wandered through a busy market square where vendors shouted and laughter mingled with the soft rustle of leaves in the afternoon sun. Yet, in the center of all that hustle, I found a small bench and sat down. As I watched the world drift by like leaves on a stream, I started to sense something profound. Solitude wasn't about being cut off from life. It was about seeing life with fresh eyes, With every passerby, I wondered, what is it that drives them? What hidden stories do they carry in their hearts? And in those questions, I realized that each person, no matter how lost they seemed in the crowd, had their own secret garden, a sanctuary of thoughts and dreams that they carried quietly with them. In many ways, this idea reminds me of the teachings of phenomenology, a philosophical school that asks us to look at our experiences without the layers of judgment and expectation. It's the study of how we perceive the world through our own eyes. When you feel alone in a sea of faces, phenomenology gently nudges you to observe the world as it is, without the distortions of preconceived notions. It's about experiencing each moment honestly, as it unfolds, like turning the pages of a well-worn book filled with memories and insights. And then there's the ever-resonant message of mindfulness, not just as a practice, but as a way of living. In those quiet spells when you feel isolated, you might be inadvertently stepping into the most intimate conversation of your life, a dialogue with your inner self, where every thought is given space and every emotion is acknowledged without harshness. It is in these moments that you learn to see yourself as you truly are, not through the eyes of those around you, but in the soft reflection of your own awareness. There is great beauty in accepting the ever-changing nature of our feelings, in understanding that every emotion, whether joy, sorrow, or quiet solitude, has a place in the tapestry of who you are. Consider the world as a vast canvas, my dear, where each emotion, each fleeting thought is a stroke of color. Even when the stroke seems sparse and the colors subdued, they combine to form a picture uniquely your own. In that picture, the spaces of solitude aren't empty. They are filled with potential, with the silent promise of self-discovery. Rather than being a mark of isolation or loneliness, these quiet spaces are invitations to treasure your own company. They whisper to you, here, in the calm, you can find the answers that have been waiting all along. You see, my dear, not all who wander in these quiet realms feel adrift. Many of the greatest minds found that it is precisely in those moments of perceived isolation that they discovered the strength and inspiration needed to craft new ideas, to create art, to forge paths that others would later follow. Think of the artists, the writers, and the philosophers who turned their solitary musings into works that still speak to us today. Their loneliness was not a flaw in their character, but the fertile ground where the seeds of creativity germinated. And so, when you find yourself in that crowded room, feeling like you're the only one without a clear link to the chatter around you, remember that this inner detachment can also be a doorway to a deeper conversation with life itself. You might ask quietly, what do I truly seek in this endless exchange of glances and words? And in the soft echo of that question, you may realize that the answer has been resting there all along, gently waiting to be acknowledged. There is a story I recall from long ago when I, too, wrestled with this paradox. I was traveling along a winding road, surrounded by friends who laughed easily and shared stories as if they were threads in a vibrant tapestry. Yet, beneath all the merriment, I felt a quiet void, a pause in the melody of human connection that left me wondering if I were the only one who longed for a moment of stillness. One cool evening, as the sun dipped low and shadows stretched long along the path, I sat by a quiet stream, listening to the gentle murmur of water over stones. It was in that hushed, natural cathedral that I understood something vital. Sometimes, to know the world, you must first know yourself. The wisdom of these moments is echoed in the peaceful teachings of Taoism as well. Taoism speaks of the natural flow of life, where opposites exist in harmony and solitude is but a necessary part of the dance. It teaches that in embracing the rhythms of nature, we can find our own rhythm too, a balance that allows us to stand quietly amidst life's tumult. When the world seems too loud, find your own pace, your own gentle rhythm. Let it remind you that you are not defined by the clamor outside, but by the soft cadence of your own heartbeat. Now, my dear, I'd like you to hold on to this thought as you continue your days. The feelings you experience, moments of isolation, quiet introspection, or unexpected calm, are the markers of your inner journey. They are signs that you are listening, learning, and growing. They tell you that you have the strength to sit with yourself, to embrace the questions that life poses, and to discover answers that are uniquely yours. And as you do so, you may find that the solitude you once feared now feels like a trusted friend, a quiet companion that has traveled with you through every high and low. So keep your heart open to these moments, my dear. Let them guide you gently, as they have guided so many before you. The solitude that envelops you in a crowded room is not a void to be filled, but a space where your inner light can shine undisturbed. In that space, find the courage to be yourself, to dream boldly, and to create a life that sings in harmony with your deepest truths. Each step on this journey, each pause in a busy day, carries with it a lesson. The lesson is that you are never truly alone. You are always accompanied by the one most important voice of all, your own. And as you continue to listen and learn, you'll discover that this inner dialogue is the purest form of wisdom, a reservoir of strength and insight that no amount of external commotion can ever erode. So, my dear, let the quiet moments be a cherished part of your story. Allow them to remind you that amidst the endless flow of life, it's perfectly natural to seek out the stillness within. And know that this solitude, far from being a sign of isolation, is a tribute to the depth and complexity of your own spirit, a spirit that, even in a crowded room, shines with the promise of self-understanding and quiet resilience. You know, my dear, as the day drifts gently toward evening, there are moments when the sky slowly darkens and the first few stars timidly peek through the twilight. It is during these moments of transition, when the bright noise of the day softens into the quiet hues of dusk, that I often find clarity in my own reflections. I recall a long ago evening when I sat beneath an old oak tree, its branches swaying ever so slightly in the breeze. Around me, the sounds of the town faded into a gentle murmur, while up above, the heavens began to reveal their secrets. It was as if the universe was patiently whispering to me, "There's more to life than meets the eye, my dear." In that stillness, I thought back on the many faces I had encountered over the years, the friends, the acquaintances, the fleeting interactions with strangers on a busy street. Each encounter, brief as it may have been, carried its own story, its own shard of light or shadow. And yet, amid all these stories, I found myself comforted by the quiet certainty that I was learning something profound about being human. There's an old saying among some philosophers that true wisdom arises not from constantly seeking external validation, but from understanding the quiet counsel of one's own heart. The teachings of Mahatma Gandhi often echo in such reflections. He once said that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And while that may seem a world apart from sitting alone in a crowd, there is a hidden truth here. When you allow yourself to be present in solitude or in a throng, you are, in a way, embracing the full spectrum of life. You acknowledge that moments of isolation carry lessons too. They speak of a time when you are in conversation with your own spirit, learning who you are beneath the layers of expectation imposed by society. It's not that you become disconnected from the world, rather, you become attuned to it in a quieter, more intentional manner. I've often wondered, my dear, about the nature of connection itself. We live in a world that celebrates the hustle and bustle, the fast pace, the need for constant interaction. But what happens when that pace slows down? In the quiet interstices of our days, when the external din subsides, you might find that you can truly listen. It is in these pauses that you begin to recognize the subtle rhythms of your own existence, the little beats that underscore your every thought and feeling. Consider the simple act of breathing, for instance. When you are alone, even amidst a group of people, you might find that your breath becomes more noticeable. Each inhalation fills you with a sense of possibility, and each exhalation lets go of unspoken worries. There is a universality in this simple cycle that connects us all, yet when you focus on it in those quiet moments, it becomes a powerful reminder that you are alive, and that life, in all its chaotic beauty, is ultimately about these small, precious moments of being. I often think about the words of the poet Rumi, who saw the divine in every heartbeat and every moment of stillness. His verses remind us that beneath the noise of everyday existence, there lies an eternal dance, a dance that invites us to surrender our burdens and let our inner light shine. In a crowded room, when the chatter seems overwhelming, it is easy to forget that you hold within you a spark of that very light. That spark remains untouched by the storm of voices around you. It is your silent guide, your inner compass pointing toward where you might find true contentment. Now, my dear, let's talk about another thought. A gentle reflection on how solitude can sometimes be a cradle for creativity and genuine self-expression. Many of history's great writers, artists, and thinkers have found solace in their own company. They sought refuge in moments of stillness, knowing that it was in those quiet corners that their imaginations unfurled. They understood that the most remarkable insights often arrive not when the mind is cluttered with endless tasks, but when it is free to wander through its own secret corridors. So, when you feel that tender distance from the crowd, it might be your inner muse gently beckoning you to explore your own creative depths. I have seen gardens bloom and wither, dear one, and I have come to realize that our inner lives mirror this cycle of growth. There are seasons when your spirit may seem barren, even isolated, and other times when it overflows with colorful ideas and vibrant hope. Just like a gardener tends carefully to each plant, knowing that every season has its own beauty, you too must nurture your inner landscape. When the crowded noise of the outside world feels overwhelming, look within. Tend to your thoughts and feelings as you would a cherished garden, with patience and gentle care. There's also a wisdom in understanding that loneliness is often a clarion call from within. It is not always a sign of despair, my dear. Sometimes that very loneliness is a guidepost telling you that it's time to grow, to change, or simply to sit and be still. I remember a time when, after a long day of busy interactions, I returned home feeling utterly alone. But as the evening settled in, with its mellow, forgiving light, I realized that it was during those moments of solitude that I truly reconnected with myself. In the quiet of my study, with nothing but the soft tick of the clock for company, I uncovered thoughts and ideas that had been waiting patiently in the wings. Isn't it a comforting thought, my dear, that even in our isolation, we are never completely cut off from the world? Every heartbeat, every breath is a reminder of the connection we share with all living things. The loneliness you sometimes feel in a crowd is like a transient shadow, an inevitable part of life that, like all shadows, disappears when you step into the full light of awareness. It is in these periods of quiet that you can truly appreciate the vast, interwoven tapestry of existence and your own unique thread within it. Let's pause for a moment to consider the idea of interconnection, a notion that reaches deep into the philosophies of many ancient cultures. In Taoism, there's a concept that everything in the universe is part of a dynamic flow, a continuous, harmonious exchange of energy. Think of a great river that winds its way through the land. It may pass through bustling towns and solitary fields alike, yet its essence remains unchanged. In a crowded room, just as in a quiet forest, you are part of that river. Your solitude does not diminish the flow. It only makes you a more attentive observer of its gentle movement. So, my dear, when you find that sense of isolation amid the crowd, try not to fear it. Embrace it as a natural and necessary part of life cycles. Every day brings with it the opportunity to grow in wisdom and compassion. The quiet moments allow you to set aside the noise and truly listen to the whispers of your heart. They are your time to reflect, to learn, and to prepare for the renewed moments of vibrant connection that follow. In these quiet reflections, you might also draw solace from another gentle teaching, the idea of Ubuntu, an African philosophy that reminds us that I am because we are. Even when you feel alone, there is an intrinsic bond that ties you to every other soul. That bond is woven into the very fabric of the universe. It means that no matter how isolated you might seem at times, your spirit is part of a larger, unfathomable whole. Your thoughts, feelings, and dreams resonate across the expanse of humanity. This understanding can be a gentle anchor when the world feels overwhelmingly vast and impersonal. I want you to carry this thought with you always, my dear. In those moments when you're surrounded by the chatter and bustle, yet feel the solitude of your own thoughts, remember that you are on a journey of inner discovery and quiet transformation. Embrace the philosophies that speak to your heart, whether they come from ancient Stoics, contemplative Buddhists, thoughtful Taoists, or the warm, shared wisdom of communities that believe in the power of connection. Let the quiet solitude be a cherished companion, a silent teacher that shows you the beauty of life in its most distilled form. Every moment of introspection, every beat of your heart in the stillness is a reminder that you are capable of profound understanding. Even in a crowded room, your inner light shines steadily, guiding you through the ebb and flow of existence. And so, as you move forward, my dear, know that this sense of isolation is not a destination, but a beautiful passage along your path. It is an invitation to slow down, to listen, and to rediscover the simple, unadorned truth of who you are. In the quiet moments of a noisy life, find that spark of clarity and nurture it, for it is the very essence of your soul, a tender, resilient flame that will guide you with gentle certainty through both the bright and shadowed moments of your journey. Remember, my dear, that the most profound conversations you will ever have are the ones you hold within yourself. In the midst of a crowd, when you feel inexplicably alone, listen closely to that inner dialogue. It is there, in the depths of your quiet contemplation, that you will always find a friend, a steadfast, gentle echo of your truest self. You know, my dear, as the night wraps around us and the soft glow of the moon spills its gentle light over everything, I often think about how these quiet moments shape us. I remember a time long ago on an evening much like this, when I sat in the backyard with nothing but the soft chirping of crickets in the air. Even though my neighbors' houses were lit up and life carried on with its usual cheer, I felt a deep, abiding solitude. It was not a loneliness that pained me, but rather a quiet understanding that within the silence I could listen to the secrets of my own heart. In that stillness, my dear, I began to appreciate something that many overlook: the art of being present. You see, there is a philosophy rooted in mindfulness, a state of complete awareness of the moment, that teaches us that every pause, every breath, and every heartbeat is a chance to rediscover our essence. It reminds me of the gentle teachings found in Zen Buddhism, not with grand words or lofty metaphors, but with the simple act of observing life as it unfolds. When you allow yourself to be truly present, every little sound, every soft rustling of the leaves becomes a part of a larger song, a melody composed just for you. There's something wondrous about this gentle clarity that comes in moments of solitude. Think of it as nature's secret gift. The way a quiet lake reflects the full sky, undisturbed by the winds of day-to-day turmoil, so does your inner self reflect your true emotions when you find a pause amid the clamor. And isn't it remarkable, my dear, that even when you stand amid a bustling crowd, you still carry that inner reservoir of quiet strength? That unspoken truth, that voice deep inside, remains undimmed by the noise around you. I often compare this to a journey on an old country road. As you wander along, sometimes the road is lined with vibrant wildflowers and the chatter of friendly passers-by. Other times, however, the path might lead you to a solitary stretch where nothing stirs except the whisper of the wind. In those solitary moments, while the world seems to pause, you encounter a part of yourself that is often hidden. It's like discovering a secret clearing in the forest, a place where you can sit and simply be without the pressure to perform or please anyone else. Now, my dear, let me share a thought from the wisdom of Kierkegaard, a thinker who often pondered the nature of the self in a seemingly indifferent world. He once mused on the idea that it's in our moments of solitude that our true individuality surfaces. He believed that the feeling of isolation could actually be the precursor to authentic self-discovery. In other words, when you're by yourself, even in the midst of a crowded room, you have the rare opportunity to confront the very questions that define who you are. And don't you see the beauty in that? To be alone is not to be empty. It is to be open. Open to the truth that lies beneath the surface of everyday interactions. Open to the raw feelings that many hide away. I often think about how the world seems to demand constant connection. Social media, endless conversations, the persistent hum of activity. And yet, in the quiet moments when you feel that delicate distance from the world, there's a chance to realign your inner compass. It's like pausing during a long, arduous journey to check your map. You don't get lost when you stop, my dear. You simply recalibrate. In those pauses, you may ask yourself, what is truly important? What part of me do I need to nourish right now? And though the answer might not come in a burst of clarity, it trickles in slowly, like dawn light seeping through a window. There is also a bittersweet comfort in the solitude of being alone while others seem so full of life. You see, sometimes, by contrast, your quiet state reveals more about the world around you. Imagine sitting quietly in a lively diner, watching the interplay of conversations, the clatter of dishes, the laughter shared over small cups of coffee. In those moments, the isolation you feel in your heart can serve as a gentle lens, bringing into focus the delicate balance of chaos and calm that exists in every human soul. It is as if your own quietness allows you to see the beauty in what others might dismiss as mere background noise. I remember another evening, my dear, when I found myself seated at a modest wooden table in a tiny, dimly lit cafe. Outside, a soft rain began to fall, tapping gently against the window pane. In that reflective solitude, I started wondering about the nature of connection itself. Is it possible that in feeling isolated, we are actually more in tune with the world? Could it be that our moments of quiet introspection allow us to absorb a depth of experience that a constant barrage of social interaction might otherwise drown out? I began to think that maybe being alone is the very canvas on which our most vibrant inner pictures are painted. The concept of solitude has been celebrated by many great minds. Take Henry David Thoreau, for instance, who retreated to the woods in search of truth and simplicity. He didn't escape the world, rather, he carved out a space where he could truly engage with the rhythm of nature, and more importantly, with himself. Even in a crowded world, that same principle applies. Your inner space, that silent sanctuary, is always available to you. It's a reminder that the answers you seek are not always found in the loud proclamations of the world around you, but in the soft, tender whispers of your own spirit. Let me tell you, my dear, that every season of life brings with it its own kind of music. There are times of jubilant celebration and times of deep reflection. And it is in the latter, the quiet, sometimes somber moments, that your true self is often revealed. Think of it this way. A winter landscape, though bare and cold at first glance, holds within it the promise of renewal. Beneath the snow, life sleeps and gathers strength for the coming spring. In the same way, the quiet periods in your life even those that seem marked by isolation, are preparing you for a deeper, more profound awakening. Another thought comes to mind from the teachings of modern mindfulness. They remind us that our minds, like a busy city street, are full of moving parts, thoughts, worries, dreams, and memories all intertwining. When you allow yourself to sit quietly, you give those parts the space to slowly, gently rearrange themselves. In that space of solitude, patterns emerge. Some of them are clues to your deepest desires, while others might point to areas that need healing. And though it can be challenging to face such revelations, know that each step, however small, is a step toward becoming the person you are meant to be. It strikes me, my dear, that in this grand mosaic of life, every piece, whether vibrant or muted, has its essential place. The moments when you feel alone, even in a crowd, are no different. They are not failures or missteps, but rather necessary brushstrokes in the painting of your life. Embrace them as part of your journey, a sacred part that helps to define the contours of your soul. For without those quiet periods, the moments of exuberance would lose their shine, and the fullness of your character would remain undiscovered. In those reflective hours, let the quiet voice of your inner wisdom gently remind you that you have the power to create meaning in any circumstance. Whether you're surrounded by people or standing alone at the end of a long road, you always have the capacity to find or even forge beauty in the moment. And isn't that a comforting thought? That in the vast tapestry of existence, every thread, every silent pause contributes to the rich, intricate pattern of who you are. So, my dear, the next time you feel that small pang of isolation in a bustling room, remember that it is a call to look inward, to examine the tender intricacies of your own heart. Know that you are not defined solely by the noise and chaos of the external world, but by the quiet, enduring light that burns within you. Embrace this solitude as a trusted friend, one that accompanies you through life's varied landscapes, from the vibrant to the gently subdued. As you continue along your path, keep in mind that every quiet moment is a treasure. It is in these moments, when the world seems to hold its breath, that you gain clarity and strength. Trust that even when you feel apart from everyone else, you are exactly where you need to be, at the very heart of your own journey, weaving the fabric of your unique story. And remember, my dear, that in every heartbeat, in every whisper of stillness, lies the promise of tomorrow, a tomorrow colored with hope, understanding, and the gentle, unyielding beauty of your inner light. And here's the truth, my dear, every moment has its own small gift. When you feel alone, you are not lost. You are simply gathering strength. Each quiet second is a chance to grow. It is a pause, a breath, a gentle reminder that you are here and you matter. When the noise of the world is loud, find your own soft voice. Listen to it carefully. Listen to it as if it were a dear friend. That voice holds your own truth. It tells you that even in the stillness, your heart beats full of hope. Know that the quiet times do not mean you are weak. They mean you are brave. They mean you are preparing for a new day. Sometimes the feeling of isolation is like a small seed in the soil. It may seem lonely at first, yet that seed is full of potential. With time, it will sprout and bloom. Do not be afraid of these moments. Embrace them. Sit with your thoughts. Let them teach you. Each question you ask yourself is a step toward finding light. Each doubt is a way to understand more. These are the gentle beginnings of your own wisdom. Remember, my dear, that every pause holds promise. Even if you do not see it today, the spark of understanding is there. That spark grows slowly. It grows with each breath you take in silence. It grows with every soft whisper of your heart. You are like the dawn that gradually fills the sky with light. With every moment you embrace, you become a little more whole. You become a little more true to yourself. The lonely feeling is not a void. It is a quiet space, a space where you can meet yourself. In that space, you are free to be gentle and kind, free to nurture your dreams, free to let your inner light shine without fear. Know that your inner voice is filled with love, a love that comforts you on the hardest days, a love that calls you forward into a brighter tomorrow. Close your eyes tonight and feel the calm. Breathe slowly. Let every gentle beat of your heart remind you that you are loved. There is beauty in your silence. There is hope in your solitude. Feel the peace that comes when you accept your quiet moments. They are here to help you find your way. So, my dear, rest now in that warm, soft quiet. Let your soul drift in the gentle night. Hold on to the hope that shines within you. Every silent moment carries a promise that you will wake to a new day filled with light. Every step you take, however small, makes you stronger. And always remember that your inner voice is your guide. It will lead you home to the peace that waits for you in your own heart. Sleep well, my dear. Embrace the night with a soft smile. Know that tomorrow is another chance to discover the light within you